Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Here Developer live stream. We got a special it's a special day today, Nick. This is a bonus episode of Developer Waypoints. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Peter Malahan. I am a senior UX designer at Here.
And I'm Nick Raboyd. Sorry, I cut you off. I'm Nick Raboyd. I'm a lead developer evangelist at Here.
Yep. And we last week actually wrapped up our first season of Developer Waypoints. First season, we walked through lots of different steps of how to use JavaScript with our APIs and with our services through our developer portal. And today, bonus episode, Nick, explain to us, what are we doing today? Because I don't really know.
Yeah, I know. I've been very vague on every episode, I think. The point of this episode is just to do some code cleanup. So we're not really going to introduce anything new as far as Here technologies to our project. But we're going to, I guess you could say, modernize our application just in general. And at least this is more modern from my opinion. But it may be for everyone else's as well. But I think it makes your code more readable, because if you look at episode 4, which we did last time, the code is kind of all over the place. There's a lot of stuff.
We're not looking at your screen right now, Nick. By the way, we're in the
you're
backdrop.
Oh, my bad.
Do you want me to go to screen mode? Let's go to screen mode.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We'll stay big, and we'll keep you. Yeah.
Anyways, I could just paint a picture. That's all right, Peter.
Yeah.
The code was wild, and
it's all over the place.
We want it to be a little better.
Yeah.
In the end.
Hey, Devil Abbey, how's it going? So we'll go ahead and just do like a quick intro. We'll explain what Waypoints is, a live coding series where we progressively build something over a season of episodes. So today, this is our cleanup day, and this is obviously live. So if you're here in chat, you can say hi. You can ask what the heck we're doing. We'll try to explain it. But this is mostly just cleanup. So,
there's going to be some review as well.
Yeah, but a little bit of review.
Nothing new is going to be introduced.
Yep. So if you want to learn how to clean up your code, I guess then it's going to be super interesting for you. If not, you can just hang out and chat with us. I'm going to be here reading chat. So
yeah, it's more of a laid back episode.
Yep. There's also a bot in chat. I'll probably run some commands. The bot's name is Nightbot, and if you see a bot that's preventing people from talk or post things, then I'll try to get a hold on it. But I usually just use that to share links, so I don't have to keep typing them over and over again. Anyway, shameless plug, real quick. Let me just put us back into backdrop mode. We do have a Slack channel. So right now we are live. You can chat with us right now. But if you want to take the chat afterward, after the show, there's a link right there for, I think it's Slack. Was it Slack? Yeah. So there's a link in chat, and there's a link on the screen to join our Slack channel. We'll be there after the show if you have any questions for following up whatever you just watched. But yeah. That's my spiel. Nick, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure.
Jump into it.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll just clone this previous episode's directory. If this is your first time tuning in, after every episode, I do a push to GitHub, and Peter can share that link in the chat.
Yep.
But you can always find each of the episodes, so that way you don't have to necessarily start from the first episode if you're trying to watch episode 4 or something. You can start where we left off, basically. But what I want to do is I want to copy that directory. I'm going to say copy recursively. I'm going to say Developer Waypoint Season 1. I'm going to copy episode number 4, and I'm going to copy that. I'll call it bonus episode.
Nice.
It's not technically episode 5 because we're not introducing anything new.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just call it that.
Yep. So link is in chat to get to the GitHub if you want to go and download the files that we'll be fixing today.
So I'll go ahead and close the Explorer as part of my editor. We're going to be working directly out of this. What I want to do is, since my tokens are not there, I'm going to go ahead and obtain them through our Here developer portal. So I'm going to paste it in. paste in the app code, and we're going to just see what we have as of yet, just where we left off in the previous episode. So I'm going to say open, bonus episode. I actually put it in the wrong directory, but we'll fix that. So this is where we left off as far as the previous episode. We have isolines, we have potentially routes connecting to different markers. We have places. So basically everything that we learned about in the first 3 episodes were applied in episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go ahead and fix my path because I don't want it to affect our GitHub. So what we're going to say is actually...
I'll just put it into episode 4.
Yeah, it's going to mess up the structure, so I'm just going to put it in developer waypoints, season 1, and that's where we want to be.
There you go.
So let's open up that Explorer again. This looks a lot better.
There you go.
That way it's not confusing because we will have other shows that we will be uploading code to in other seasons. Mm-hmm. We want to keep it organized.
Yep.
So we're good on that aspect. I'll open up the terminal as necessary because we will be adding files. So the first thing, and this was actually brought up, and I didn't think of it first, but I was removing the app tokens every time we started a new episode or every time I did a push. Reality says that we should probably create a configuration file and then just exclude that using a git ignore.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I don't have to remove them and I can just leave them in there forever and always. So that's going to be our first step. So we're gonna move that into its own file that we could segregate kind of from the rest of the JavaScript. So inside of that directory, so I'm going to go into developer waypoints, season 1, bonus. I'm going to create a file called config.js. And actually, I know I closed the Explorer. I'll close all of these so that way it's a little easier. We're going to open up config. And we're going to say constant, and I'm going to say config equals, and I'm going to provide some JSON here. So this JSON is essentially going to include our tokens here. And we're just going to use them directly. So I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to go back into my index.html. I'm going to add a new script line. I'm going to say script. I'm going to say source equals config.js. And then with that, I can just say something like...
just call that right there.
Yeah, config. And I think that should be fine. We could refresh the screen and make sure. Oops, I closed it. Oops. Don't want to see that. You didn't see anything. All right, let me open it.
I was going to say, I forgot to test the screen share so you can see what I'm looking at. You can see both of us, but
it's all right. So it still works. So that's good. So that was the first step of the cleanup. What I'll do is I'll add a git ignore. So I'll say touch.git ignore, and we'll add that right after I do my initial push. So that way, if you want to make changes, you don't have to keep worrying about your tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So the next step. So the next step is, well, we've got all this messy code everywhere inside of our index.html file. It might make sense to create a JavaScript class for that. So I'm going to say touch. I'm going to say maybe app.js. And then pretty much all of our core logic is going to go inside of that app.js file. Not all of our JavaScript, but our core logic. So let's go ahead and open up that app.js file. And I'm going to create a class. I'm going to call it maybe here dev. Doesn't really matter what we call it. But we're going to start copying content over into that. And I think now I can close a lot of this stuff. Before I do, I have to reference it. So what I can do is I can say app.js. And maybe we want to create a constructor method for kind of creating or initializing our platform. So we can start with that. So we can go to the app.js file. We can create a constructor method. This constructor method, we probably want to pass in the app ID. We probably want to pass in the app code. But inside of it, what we can do is we can just say, I'll copy this. And we'll say, oops. Actually, we don't even need to say app ID, app code. We can just say tokens maybe. And provide it. So we're kind of just doing the same thing that we did in the index.html. And then if we wanted to use that, instead of saying this, what I would say maybe constant. I would say maybe here equals new here dev, and I would provide that configuration object, which will be initialized in our class. In addition, what I probably want to do as well, as if we're initializing things, is copy over our services that we're initializing. So they would be a good candidate to do in our constructor method. So I have those as well. And because we want these to be member variables to be used throughout this entire class, we just want to use this instead of constant, because these will be used beyond the constructor method. And I could do my fancy multiple replace, but we've seen issues in the previous episode, right, Peter?
I think we're just getting a little too complex with our naming. I think
it could be.
We could have just named it like Route 1 and Route 2 or something. Tracy to Stockton, Stockton to Tracy, Tracy Stockton.
Yeah, we're gonna make things a little easier for this one. Oh, I think we were getting a little out of control on that previous episode.
Well, and then this is a good chance to define those as for better variables in the first
actually
place.
What I'm going to do I'm going to actually comment all of this for now. We're going to start kind of at a clean slate. We're going to just copy things over as we go along. So we have our constructor method to initialize this new here class. We also need to be able to say, you know what, now let's we got to create a map somewhere. So I have this map code. It was inside of the start function prior. So what I can do is I can maybe just copy it over. So I'll say app.js. Maybe I want to say create map as another function. I could paste that in. Map is going to be another member variable. I can say, you know what, we're expecting a few things that we pass in. Maybe we pass in a center point, a zoom, and then maybe the DOM element representing the map. So we can say DOM element, we can say maybe center, and we can say zoom. And we can variabilize this, I guess you can say. Center, and if there are any questions in the chat, please feel free to stop me. But we're just cleaning this up more or less. And I'll show you a demo of what it looks like in just a second. DOM element. So to use this create map, we can go to the index. We can go up into our code here. We can say here.create map. We pass it the DOM element. So it was actually, what was it? I already forgot what I named it.
It was like
it was this thing. I'm just going to copy that in. So we got a DOM element. Okay. We need a center point. So the center is going to be lat. Let's just say, because I don't remember anything yet. We're going to use our geocoder again. It's going to be 37. Longitude is going to be -121. And then the center is.
Wait.
Oh yeah, the zoom. My bad.
The
zoom. The zoom. Let's just say 10. And save it. I think this should run. If I go back to my web browser, it should just be a plain map. It isn't, so let's figure out why. Token is not defined, so let's figure that out.
Was it an app.js?
Oh, I put tokens, plural.
Oh.
Yeah. Platform is not defined. So, yeah, so remember, member variables has to have this.
Okay.
So there's going to be a few of those errors along the way. You can see that we have our basic map, but technically what we did is we kind of just split it up into their own functions here. So we have create map now. And to make things back to how they were, we're actually going to just say we're going to continue along saying constant start equals async, because we will be using async and await throughout this application.
The same way that we did in the
we will, yes, because we'll be using promises, but it definitely is easier just to use this approach going forward. So we have our map. now maybe because we don't want to use these coordinates, we can copy our geocoder function over and we'll create a function out of it. So we can go to app.js. We can paste this in. Let's just go ahead and make it more class appropriate here. I'm not sure if you can use the expressions the way I have them, so I'm just going to keep a trend here. So that way it looks like this. But for the geocoder, we're probably going to pass in a query. So query is right here, which is good. Geocoder service needs a this because we're using the member form of it. Success looks good. But if you recall correctly, and I'll save it and I'll show you, if I go back into the index.html file, and if I do something like let's just do it here. I'm gonna copy that Tracy over somewhere in here. So copy Tracy. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna print it out. I'm gonna say console.log Tracy. I do have to make an adjustment though. So I'm calling it here .geocoder.
Okay.
I'm gonna print it out. Yeah, because it's part of this particular class.
Okay.
So I'm gonna refresh it. It failed for whatever reason again, probably because I dot something. But let's go ahead and look at our console. Await is only valid in an async function. So let's see what I did. I did not include it in the right place, so it needs to be inside of my start. And I'll copy this too. I forgot to copy this. Does that make sense, Peter?
Makes sense.
All right, so I'm going to paste it. I'm going to print it out. You'll notice that it's using latitude, the full spelling of it, and we'll notice that or at least if you've seen the previous episodes, a lot of what we did works with lat and lng. So we can actually adjust this so that way we don't have to keep switching back and forth between formats. We could actually just extend the promise of the geocoder. So we're returning a promise. We can chain it with a then, so we have another success. And if it's successful, what we can do is basically we can map this. So we can say return, and we can say lat is success dot latitude, and we can say longitude is success dot longitude. And this is just to kind of help us. So for example, let's go back. See how it switched the format?
Mm-hmm.
And because this is the format that that markers anticipate. And before we were doing all kinds of craziness, just switching back between those. And I think I even made plenty of errors in those previous episodes as well, right? Just trying to remember what I had. So we're going to try to keep consistency for this particular episode. So we have the geocoder. I can go back now. We have Tracy. Let's go ahead and use that as the center point. So I'm going to say, actually, because we are keeping the format consistent, I can just say Tracy now. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't need to define it or anything. So I can just say Tracy's, the zoom is 10. I could go check it out. It's zoomed into the correct place now. Life is good. So we're getting a little cleaner as we go along. All right, next up, might as well copy over places, right? So places, we'll copy it over to the app.js. So we're going to follow that similar strategy here. We'll have places. This will be a function. And let's go to check it out. So remember, we're not working with latitude and longitude in their full spelling anymore, because our chords now should, in theory, always be a lat and a long.
Okay.
So let's just say lat. Let's say long. We want to make sure that we say this. We want to say, I think this is good for now. We could figure out what it prints out momentarily, but let's go down the line. Let's get our other function. We have a route and an isoline in there that we need to copy over, and then we're going to do a lot of testing after this. So we're just copying over these. These were already functions in our previous episode, but now we're making them into class functions. So we have a start and a finish. Again,
gotta choose that lat and long.
Lat, longitude. We have to use this in here. And I think this should be good. And again, we're going to test this once we get to that part Because remember, our goal is we're trying to replicate what we had in the previous episode, but in a cleaner fashion, hopefully significantly less code. So we have our isoline. This is going to be a function as well. Let's go ahead and say this.router service. This is going to be a lat, a longe, and let's keep it at that for now.
Okay. So eventually, yes. So in that, you could also maybe just define all of those, specific variables with fastest car traffic and.
Yeah, if I wanted to, I could add more.
You can add that. Okay.
Not necessary for our examples. This would be a much easier change to do.
Yeah.
Than anything else. All right, so we have our functions in place. In fact, let's go ahead and delete this so that way we have less scrolling to do throughout the code. Because in theory they should be good now.
All right, you want to check first?
I live dangerously. No, I'll check. Let's refresh. I'm not using them yet. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. Let me remove the Tracy part. We don't need to print it out anymore.
Okay.
All right. So let's look at what we've got. Let's go ahead and add a Stockton marker as well. So this should be easy to do. We can just. Oops. It always amazes me some of these commands in Visual Studio Code on what they do.
I don't even know what they do.
Let's go ahead and call these markers instead. Or doesn't matter. We'll just say Stockton and Tracy. I don't know where I was going with that.
Wait, aren't you already? Oh, okay. I see.
So yeah, we're because we're trying to. So we have okay. Stockton, right? We want to create a marker for each one of these now. You'll notice that previously we had to do the full spelling of this object. Mm-hmm. We don't have to do that anymore. So if I wanted to, I can just let's copy both of these. I'll paste them in. And instead of spelling it out like this, I can just say Tracy. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of chaining our promise and parsing our results.
Nice.
Stockton. I didn't add it to the map yet. I could. So let's. I can just type it in. It's short. I'll say. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do this way at all. Let's further reduce this.
All right.
So let's go ahead and copy this. We'll go back into the app.js. I'll do it above the service functions. Keep everything kind of all the visual stuff close to each other. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say maybe drop marker. I'm going to provide it a position. I only need to paste one of these in. But I'm going to say position. I'm going to say maybe marker. And I'm going to say this.map.add object. And I'm going to say marker. And with that, and you could always decide to do things differently. There's definitely not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution to this. But if I wanted to, I can just say here dot drop marker Tracy, and then likewise with Stockton.
Cool.
Yeah, let's remove those, and then we can test it out. So we have our two markers now. So wow. We're making progress as far as this potential cleanup operation that we're doing. Mm-hmm. Next up, we have isolines, right? So we want to calculate the isoline data for, let's say, Tracy in this example. So we already have our isoline function. We could make use of it. So in this case, it'd be here dot calculate isoline. We provided Tracy. We provided a distance. We can call this the same. It's fine. If we wanted to, I can say console.log Tracy isoline. Make sure that it's working because you were questioning my ability here. Right, Peter?
All right, questioning your ability. I was it works, skeptical.
Skeptical. All right.
Yeah.
We want to clean this up as well because we don't like working with an array of strings that are just comma separated positions. We want to keep the format the same, right? And what's our format, Peter?
What's our format?
of our positions that we want to keep.
Oh, the isoline data?
Yeah. But we want to keep it in this format, right? We want to keep everything lat and longe across the board.
Yep.
So we are going to make an adjustment. We're going to chain a promise here. So we're going to say then. And I think actually what we want to do is we want to say, so we have success from the previous, and we have an array. So we can actually make use of a map. So let's try to do it. So we have return success dot map. So our map is going to have each element in that array is going to be a point. This is just more JavaScript cleverness, I guess. I think you don't even need the return here. Let's inside the map, what we can do is we could say constant lat long equals point dot split. And then we can say, I actually think you do need the return, actually. We can say return, and we can say lat is lat, and long is long. Yeah, I know, it's craziness, right?
So when you call lat, when it prints out, it says
You talking about right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so dbabs, or babsd actually showed me this.
Yep.
So shout out to him. I didn't know that you could do JavaScript. So if you are working with an array, you could actually drop those right in an array like that. I didn't think that was possible.
So what does that actually do? Is it just replace the?
Yeah. So that's the same thing as saying I could say parts equals point dot split, and I can say that's the same as saying parts 0 and parts 1, basically. So I can say lat equals parts 0. It kind of shorthands it, right?
Yeah. And then you return with the comma, right?
Yeah. So it's nifty. It's very nifty. Let's go ahead and see if that does anything for us. So yeah, it did. So we now have an array. It's not an array of strings anymore. It's an array of objects that are formatted to our liking, right? So with that, we can actually draw it. And to make our lives simple again, we're going to create functions for each one of these. So we're going to create a function for polylines, and we're going to create a function for polygons. Sound good?
Sounds great.
So let's go ahead and check it out here. I'm just going to copy this for the time being. We're going to say, and I'm going to do this with all of the graphical stuff up here, but I'm going to say draw polygon. Paste that in. We're going to simplify this. We're just going to say line string. We're going to say that this is our data. So we're going to say, we could just call this data or points. I think actually points probably sounds better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be providing it. Point. We're using it here. I don't like that. I feel uncomfortable now. I'm going to call it positions.
Okay.
Yeah.
That made me feel uncomfortable too. I'm glad you changed it.
All right, so we could actually do that. Babsd taught me.
Okay.
So I could say constant, and we could say lat, and there's probably better ways to simplify this even than what's here, but I won't go into that kind of stuff since it's out of my element. I think definitely not a JavaScript pro over here, but
you're giving the JavaScript series, Nick.
I know, right?
Be the pro. At least make it seem like you are.
I don't know. People will probably disagree with this statement, but I don't even think people who say that they're JavaScript pros think that they're JavaScript pros. Or JavaScript is one of those languages that you can't just learn. You can't just be a pro at. It's impossible, I think. But people will disagree with me, I think.
I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. So polygon. This is going to be a line string, and we could leave it at that for now. We could allow colors to be inserted later.
Sure.
What I could do is I could say this.map.add object, and I can say polygon.
So with those two constants, with the polygon and line string,
yes,
you don't have to define those as this because it's not part of the
Correct. It's not a member variable for the entire class. Yeah. It's isolated to this particular method.
Yep.
So which is fine because we don't need it to use this throughout the class, because now if I wanted to, I could just go up here and I could say, hopefully, here.draw polygon, and I could provide it that Tracy isoline data. Let's go ahead and remove this. Let's save it, and hopefully it works. It didn't work. That's all right. Point split is not a function. Let's go ahead and take a look at
Babs D.
I wouldn't blame him. It's probably something I did. So what line did it complain on? It complained on line 29. So let's take a look.
Points.
Oh, you know why it didn't work?
Points, right?
Yeah, because points isn't an array anymore. It's just a regular object. So what we can do is we can just provide.
Oh, you don't have to split because you already split it, right?
Correct. I don't even need these brackets anymore. So that should work. So because it's points, we've already formatted it correctly. So I'll refresh it, and we've got our isoline now.
All right,
and the
Babs
beauty
D.
of that.
Sorry, we doubted you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick. I'm sorry, Nick doubted you. I had full faith.
All right. So let's copy this. Let's go ahead and say that this is a Stockton isoline now. Let's go ahead and draw another polygon. This is Stockton. They're going to be the same color because we're not passing any color information in. But at least now we've easily added two isolines and probably cut our code by half, right?
Yeah.
Because now we're not doing two line strings, not two polygons. We've reduced our load, right?
Nice. So
let's continue exploring this. So we've got our isolines out of the way. Let me start stripping stuff out again, so that way it's a little nicer to look at. We'll remove that. Let's see. We made it all the way to McDonald's, right? All right, so this is the places. We've already set up the places function. So now what we can do is we can say something like, and I think I could just copy this over. Here.places. We have McDonald's. We're passing in Tracy. Life is good.
Wow.
Now what we can do is we can still loop through each one of those markers. Let's actually just say, I'll do a different kind of loop again. I'll just say McDonald's dot for each, and I can say McD or whatever you want to call it, like Mickey D's. And let's start adding these markers to the map. So I can say constant McMarker. I'm gonna keep doing that here.
Yeah.
It's worth it, right?
You already did it. I can't stop you.
Yeah, actually I don't want to do that, because remember, I'm using a here drop marker now. It took the glory out of it, but not entirely. We'll get to that in just a second. Okay. So I'll say MCD. Actually, I think it might be MCD dot position. Maybe. I don't. Are we having it return something? I totally already forgot. Let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and print it out. So let's go ahead and say console. I don't even remember it's returning. Console.log MCD. We might need to format this. So let's go ahead and go back. See what it returned. It returned all kinds of business information. Maybe, I mean, I guess we don't have to. Would you feel more comfortable if I just stripped out all of this extra data and only went for the position, or should I just ignore that?
Yeah, just do position. We don't really need anything else.
Yeah, so then let's go back into the.
What do you think, chat?
Is anyone on the chat? A few people.
we got some people. We got some viewers. That's a bonus episode.
Yeah, we didn't heavily advertise it
at all.
If you're here, it's because you're in the know, right?
Yep.
So we'll say success. We'll return. What do we want to return? We want to return a lat and a launch, right? So we're going to say, yeah, lat. Actually, we're saying success dot Actually, I think we're going to need a map because success is an array, right? If I look back at this, it was like an array of that data.
Yeah, right.
So what we can do is we can actually say map success dot map. We're going to say I don't know, data. I'm making stuff up here. Let's go ahead and say totally drawn a brain fart here. Return. What is data? Data. We're looking for position, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say we're going to return. We're going to say lat, and we can say data dot position 0 and longitude, and this could totally bomb. And if it does, we'll move past it.
Sure.
This might work. Let's try it. See what our data looks like.
We'll have to call that anyway to print out the.
Or each on line 24
right?
of index.
24 of index.
That's odd. McDonald's is no longer. Yeah, it's fine. We'll come back to this if there's time. I don't know. I'm drawing a memory blank right now. It's fine. We won't think too hard on it.
Okay.
This is easily corrected. So what we can do.
Oh.
What's going on?
Well, you're passing in Mickey D's, and is there anything that defines Mickey D's?
Well, it's one iteration of the array for McDonald's because it's an array, so it's one element in that. So it's just iterating over it.
Oh, okay,
so,
okay. Yep.
Yeah, so we can just say position 0, and we can say longitude MCD dot position 1. I think that'll work.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, we'll figure it out. Yeah, so it worked now, right? I don't know why I was having such a brain fart on that promise, but it happens. So we'll move past it.
Even the JavaScript pros.
JavaScript pros that are much better than I am, right? I'm not claiming that I'm good, so that's most people who are probably going to be better than me.
I am. That's how I've been telling everybody to watch the show. It's the JavaScript pros giving a walkthrough.
Yeah. All right. So we have our McDonald's markers. We wanted to add this event listener. So what we can do is we can do something on. There's numerous approaches to this. I think my favorite approach would be to find our drop marker function right here, and then have kind of like an optional parameter to it. So I'll say event maybe, and then with that I can say something like if event is not null, if it exists at all, then we could do something with that information. So in this case, what we would do is we would say like. We could say copy this, and I'll explain this in just a second.
Okay.
But I'll say marker event. So what's going to happen is if we provide a function, because in JavaScript you can provide variables like strings and stuff, but you could also provide functions as a parameter. So if we provide a function, and you could do more checks than this, then we just apply it to this tap event listener. And we can actually use it like this. So we have our drop marker, and now we could have a function here. And we can add this touch logic. So for example, if I copy this console log and I paste it in, we're gonna get the target position, hopefully.
For each one that passes through.
Yeah, and I think I might be crazy here. Hold on. Let me just look at this for a second.
Is this what you were trying to do earlier, but just a different way?
Yes, sort of. Here. How about that? Let's try that.
I don't know what the difference is.
We're going to try it anyways. So I'm going to refresh. I'm going to click on one of these markers. Didn't do anything.
No.
See here for a second. I've done this prior. I've tried this, and it worked the last time I made this wild attempt to do it. So let's figure it out. Hold on. It's not even triggering that.
No.
Otherwise, it would.
It would show an error, right? It would print something if it was.
Yeah, I probably have some silly mistake somewhere. All right,
Nothing.
let me think about this
Not
for
triggering.
a second. Not triggering. So let's think about this. Any ideas, Peter?
What is the event? What is that calling? Right.
What is the event?
Yeah, like your
This right here.
yeah.
So this is a variable. So I mean this, if you recall correctly down here, so this right here is a function. This is a parameter to that function.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what I'm saying is let's just pass that function in and we could define the logic and it's going to apply it towards our marker inside of our app.js file, in theory.
Okay.
Hold on one second. I mean, I could just comment it out. This is the beauty of doing it live, right? You never know what's going to happen.
How's it going, chat? Any
Chat,
ideas?
Is anyone in chat now? Where my probably very small and stupid mistake is? Hold on. So it's not drop marker. Did I add it to the right function even? That should be.
Is there a reason it's in parentheses?
Which one?
In the
This
index? Yeah.
doesn't need to be. Not going to hurt us. I could even make it async, like because we will need it to be async in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Doubt that changed it. That'd be silly if it did.
Because I don't know anything.
No, I mean, it's a good call. Let's see here. So it's not even calling it. I am inside the marker function, right? My brackets are lining up.
Yeah.
Which is good. Maybe it's recognizing this as null. So let's go ahead and say console.log event. Which would be weird.
Async event. It's just it printed it before you even tapped on it.
Yeah, and there's reasons for that. So I added it before the event actually occurred, and you'll remember that we're creating two markers which have no event listeners on them. Mm-hmm. So they're null, undefined. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
And then we have apparently 20 McDonald's that were found. So I think it's recognizing that we have events on them. So that's odd.
That's the same listener.
When in doubt, put console logs everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's there. It's
in there.
And it's not the listener. So we're just saying that their function exists. The listener is here. Maybe it has to do with the constant. Let's see what we can do.
What's the difference?
Well, we're going to find out. No difference. All right, so maybe I should
what else can
my
you do here?
Dreams on this. So I might be at a loss. I would have to look this up on why the last time I tried to do this it worked, but not this time. Bummer.
Well, go back to what you were calling before. How were you calling it in the original? Like down in your commented out section.
So I have the marker. So I'm creating this marker, which I'm reproducing, sort of, because if I look at my code here, I'm creating the marker, correct?
Yep.
And I'm adding the listener on that marker. So if I wanted to, let's just try this for laughs. Let's just go ahead and say, right? So if I click it, it should print out, because that's the same. kind of the same thing I was doing here, right?
Yeah.
So let's try it. So it's not.
Have you? I mean, does that like calling that function? Does that exist within something that you're not?
Yeah. Let me try a different
enabling
approach.
in the beginning.
No, it should work. Let me try one more approach, and then I might have to quit on this example. Let's go ahead and create an array to store all of our marker data. So I'm going to say markers. So every time we create a marker, it's going to add to this array. Okay. I'll do plural because that'll make the most sense. For markers, I'm just going to say this dot markers. I'm going to push this new marker into the array. This is how I would probably do it anyways in reality. And I'll show you for other reasons afterwards if this works, hopefully. We'll say this dot markers. And for the particular marker, we'll be looking at the last marker that was inserted into this array. So we'll say this dot markers dot length -1. So this was the last inserted marker. And then I could do this likewise. I'm going to add the last inserted marker to this array here. Let's go ahead and see if that did anything. You know what's odd? Oh, this is going to be so silly. I know what's going on. Yeah. What did I forget to copy over, Peter, when I was doing all my copy paste?
I asked you if you enable everything.
You see me moving my mouse around? I'm trying to drag this map, but
didn't I say did you enable everything in the beginning?
You probably did, and I wasn't listening. I ignored you. So
that's fair. Usually I'm wrong.
We don't have an interactive map right now. So let me copy this from a previous. Somehow I forgot to add it.
Okay.
So I forgot these two very important lines.
Yeah. Yep. I said.
That's
I mean, maybe I didn't, explain it exactly what I meant.
How did you let this happen, Peter? That's so embarrassing.
I said, "Do you have everything called that you need to call?" I don't know. I can go back to the videotape. We can check it out.
Oh man. Yeah. Man, that's embarrassing. All right, that should work then.
That's good. That's all good. You figured it out.
So we'll just say event again. This will work. And the other one probably would have worked too.
Yep.
So yeah, let's just refresh it now. Let me confirm that I can drag this around.
There you go.
Looks good.
Hey.
And of course it prints out, right? Oh man.
Yep.
That is rough. That is rough.
That's good.
All right,
now we can actually, I'm proud of you.
We can continue this example, and hopefully, I don't get made fun of too much by everyone, right?
When we upload the video, I can trim a little.
Oh, you're gonna.
But now that I'm saying it now, then people will know that we cut out like an hour of footage.
It's all good. We were trying to debug. I guess this is part of the bonus episode of getting deep with JavaScript, right? Is troubleshooting our own code. All right, so let's draw those routes. We've done the hard stuff. This is all easy stuff as of right now. So we want to calculate the route. We already have a function for that. Let's paste it in. We'll calculate the Tracy route first. We'll paste it in. We're going to say here.calculate route. Pass in Tracy. Pass in our new coordinates. We don't have to be specific because it's expecting a destination. A destination being just this event target position. Is that too long? Should I separate it into two lines?
No, that's good. That's fine.
Too late. I already did.
Oh my God. You never listen.
No.
You never listen to me.
So that's one route. Then we can say here dot draw. We don't have a poly line. We didn't draw a poly line. So do I still have it in here somewhere? Yeah, I can copy this. So we're going to copy this. We're going to have a polyline function. Put it somewhere near our polygon. Say draw polyline. Paste that in. I'm going to call this line string. I'm going to call this points maybe. What did I call it? Positions before? Yeah, positions. Let's try to be consistent.
Yep.
Positions. We have polyline, and we can say this dot map dot add object polyline. So we did some cleanup here, right? So we can just push the points directly. Oops. We have points, and I have too many lines there. All right, I think this will work for our polyline. So what we can do is we can just say draw polyline, right? So here dot draw polyline, provided our Tracy route. Let's just try that and see if it works.
So that's drawing from where you tap.
Should, doesn't. Line 35.
Draw a polyline.
Yeah. Positions. I lost all my mojo, dude, from that last problem.
You got it. You got points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me print this out. Console.log our Tracy route. Oh, I think I know the problem. We didn't format it yet.
Oh, you didn't
we formatted
split,
it
right?
on the isoline, but not the other one.
Can you make that into its own little function?
Probably could. I'll just paste it in. I think it's easy enough.
Okay.
So I just copied what we had for isoline. Now, if I went back, I'm kind of confident that that would work.
I trust you.
Kind of. All right. Yeah, so we have the isoline from Tracy.
Nice.
We just need to kind of close the loop here for Stockton. So we can clone this. This is going to be Stockton. We can say Stockton, and they're going to be the same color. We could easily pass in multiple color lines. Oh, man. I am messing up today.
You got it. You got it. Don't get down on yourself.
Oh, that's right. There we go. Getting sloppy. Oh, now it only does one, right? It didn't do both of them. You notice that?
Yeah. What? I think you replaced it instead of duplicate. You have to have two polylines.
You are right again.
So could you turn this into, like, if somebody wanted to go to a different location on the map and do the same thing, with the easiest way?
What do you mean?
Well, like,
you want
if
to
you
throw some
want
examples at me?
I don't know, if you wanted to go from, like, I don't know, where else could you go?
Throw some examples at me.
If you want to go, like, between, like, Seattle and SeaTac.
Right? All right, so I'll say Seattle.
Not California, not Seattle, California.
And where do you want to go? SeaTac?
Yeah.
Is that a real place?
So it's an actual city where SeaTac Airport is.
All right.
It's literally it's two names of two different cities combined, and it's its own city.
All right. We won't change the variable names because I'd have to change them everywhere. But let's give it a shot. I don't know. We just changed two items.
Just work, right? Wow.
Yeah, we have a bunch of McDonald's in here, and we have two different locations. There is overlap. And we could draw the routes between them.
Wow.
So
okay. So you could just turn all the variables to just be, pretty generic, right?
Yeah, we could easily.
I mean, you don't have to, but
yeah, I didn't, but we could. One more thing, and I think this came up in the last episode. well, how do we prevent this? Like, notice how it's drawn a ton of lines now.
Oh yeah,
How do we reset it?
Clear
so this
it
is
and-
where I was kind of going with the list stuff
Mhm.
that you saw for markers. There's 100 different ways to solve this problem, but I would say this dot maybe polylines, make that into an array, and then for the polylines, instead of what I could do is I could say this dot polylines dot push, and I could say polyline because that's what we have up here, and it gets reset every time this function is called, but not our member variable. And I could say we could still continue to insert polyline, but what we can do is actually,
wouldn't you just want to?
Yeah, my bad.
Or what?
Yeah, we will. It works a little differently though. So you could loop over every object that you have on your map and find them all. Or there's a very convenient clear function, and I'll just add it right here. We could say clear polylines, and it's basically this dot map dot I think it's remove objects, and we would pass in an array of objects.
Okay.
So we would say polylines because now we're keeping track of those polylines. We could easily say something like this dot polylines, and then kind of do the same thing like we did with markers. So this dot polylines dot length, and get the last inserted polyline. And I think that would work. So if I went to the index,
would you call that right before you draw the line?
I would. So I would say it right. I could say it right anywhere in here basically, but I would say here dot clear polylines, and hopefully that would work. So I'll click that. Yeah.
Wow.
See how? Oh. So I forgot to clear one more thing. So I didn't actually clear the array as well. So I would remove the objects, and then I would basically purge the array. So polylines equals empty, and that would work. Because it still had reference to the old ones.
Cool.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I mean, this. Let me just remove all of this cruft code that we're not using anymore.
And you can put it back to Tracy and Stockton just for
purposes of the download.
Simplicity. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, look what a clean looking code we got here.
Hopefully, right? I mean, you get somebody like Babs D or something on the line, and he could probably make it a little better than this.
Well, Babs D's not saying anything to you today, Nick, so you're free to do whatever you want.
But just to summarize, though, all we did was we moved everything into their own function inside of this class. And that kind of made it more reusable. So that way we didn't have to... The core here is we didn't want to duplicate our lines of code. So I could continue to add polylines. We could search for 10 more places, and they would be 1 or 2 liners to accomplish the job.
Yeah.
But and then as far as the config goes, we want to open up that get ignore. I won't add it yet because what we want to do is... And I'll just push it right now. And there's people who are probably way more familiar at Git than I am as well. But what I want to do is let's push this up.
So what does a get ignore do?
So the get ignore is going to, we can add a file to it that says don't push this file up into GitHub. But I don't want to add it to the get ignore until after I push the empty version of that file up. So that way people will have this empty version, but every time that they add their own tokens to it and do a push, it ignores it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of all the material though that I had for this to close it out as I push it out.
Nice. So do you maybe just go to your app.js file and kind of maybe let's talk about maybe the most important functions that we made.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
like obviously we have a bunch that are like draw polyline, like that's pretty self-explanatory, but
yeah, I think some important ones. I mean, this is the ones that kind of help me out the most is actually formatting the data as part of a chained promise, rather than trying to format it inside of the index.html file, because you shouldn't ever have to format it more than once in your application.
Yeah.
So I mean that's my favorite part of this, but I'm sure everyone will have their own answers to that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, let me push this up.
If there's any questions in chat, go ahead and throw them out at us. We'll try to answer them real quick. Nick, we hit about an hour.
Yeah, that's good. You want to mention the poll for our next episode?
Solid bonus episode. Yes. So, different computer. Let's see.
Do you have a screenshot of your setup over there? I think it'd be a cool opportunity to share if you do.
I don't.
Didn't want to put you on the spot, right?
No. So in chat right now, there's a straw poll to vote on what you want to see for season 2. We've already decided for you that we're going to cover frameworks, but we're not sure which framework our viewers would want us to focus on. So there's 3 options right now: Angular, Vue, and React. So we can either pick one of those and dive deep into them, or to one of them for an entire season, or we can just cover all 3 and try to build something consistent between the 3 to show the differences and similarities of what it takes to work with those 3. So go ahead and vote over there if you're around and you want to look at it. I wonder if no, there's not really an easy way for me to throw it on the screen right now, but I'm trying to have a poll go up on our Twitter, so you'll be able to vote there. And I think within, man, I'm blowing it with our links right now.
Man, I was blowing it too, dude. I don't know.
It's okay.
One of those days.
Yeah. Let me bring us back up to big screen. Yeah, our Twitter account is here dev, same as our Twitch. So if you find us on Twitter, we're hopefully going to run a poll soon. We're working with that to get up, just to get feedback from our viewers. But yeah, that's our bonus episode for today.
You can also follow me directly on Twitter if you want. I'm Enraboy.
Enraboy.
Yep. First initial, last name.
Mm-hmm. You're not NRA boy?
Definitely not NRA boy.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you had to. Actually, that's terrible that you had to define that you're not NRA boy.
Oh, the animation that I have on my Twitter?
Yeah, that's very cool.
It had to come to that.
Yep. So, yeah, this bonus episode will go up on YouTube. There's links below our Twitch channel right now to the previous episode. So if you want to actually watch through season 1, our JavaScript season, the standard 4 episodes are down below. They're links to our YouTube channel. And then from there, this bonus episode will also be uploaded to YouTube too. Make sure you follow our channel, so when we do start season 2, you'll be notified. And we actually, so if you did show up today thinking that we were going to do an AWS show today, I'm very sorry about that, but that did get moved. And it's actually next week on the 24th, right? Week from today?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So Nick is going to be in my position, and Michael Palermo is going to also be on screen, and I'll be in the background pulling the strings. And they'll take you through, what are you doing, chatbot with Lex?
I believe so, but Michael's the one with all of the agenda. I'm just going to be there to ask stupid questions right now.
Right, so you're taking my job?
No. I'll be there to help out.
Okay.
But he's definitely leading the show on this one.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for viewers for afterward for watching. This now finally fully wraps up season 1 of Waypoints. So thank you for coming with us on our journey. It's been a great time. Yes. So Nick, any goodbyes you want to say?
Any goodbyes?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Should I have a goodbye? I'm coming back.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week. All right, we're done. Bye.